Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Surpassing Coco Gauff, Iga Swiatek makes honest admission on Aryna Sabalenka spot. After a surprise first-round exit at this year's Wimbledon, Coco Gauff regained her footing at the Cincinnati Open in Ohio. The American tennis icon breezed to the semifinals before facing her biggest challenge yet, Jasmine Paolini. The Italian got the better of the world number 2 in their previous 2 clashes, and this time it was no different, giving Iga Swiatek the opening she needed. The 2025 Wimbledon champ had already climbed to the World WTA rankings after her maiden win in London. Now, with Coco Gauff falling to Paolini, the Polish tennis star was just one win away from climbing past Gauff in the ranking as well. And guess what? The Wimbledon champion barely broke a sweat. PNG Center Court, beating the number 8 Italian in straight sets. Naturally, the Cincinnati win begged the Aryna Sabalenka question. That question came when Iga Swiatek sat down with the Tennis Channel desk after her second big win in a month. "Do you have your eye on the number 1 ranking for the end of the year?" asked the host. However, the 24-year-old didn't have a black and white answer for the interviewer. "Honestly, if I'm going to play well, it's going to be an effect of that," Swiatek said during the interview. "I'm just focusing on being a better player, and I'm not that kind of person that focuses on the rankings anyway," Iga Swiatek told the Tennis Channel during her post-match interview. For now, the Aryna Sabalenka sits atop the women's world rankings list despite making it only as far as the Cincinnati Open quarter-final against Elena Rybakina. Chasing shadows and embracing light, Iga Swiatek's odyssey beyond Gauff, Sabalenka, and herself. Iga Swiatek's journey in 2025 reads like an alchemical experiment, meticulously precise, occasionally explosive, and always charged with intent. Emerging from the shadows of her own golden reign, the Polish star finds herself twined in a new dynamic, rising beyond Coco Gauff, even as Aryna Sabalenka holds court at the summit. The real moment that changed the game. Fresh from her commanding Wimbledon triumph, Swiatek's momentum surged. Yet, in Cincinnati, another turning point arrived, not through triumph over Sabalenka or Gauff, but via proxy. Coco Gauff's surprising defeat to Jasmine Paolini opened the door. Stepping in with authority, Swiatek beat Paolini in straight sets, inching tantalizingly close to overtaking Gauff in the WTA rankings. Essentially sports. It was more than the math of rankings. It was a statement of momentum. The rank chase, the real talk. After her victory, in conversation with the Tennis Channel, Swiatek was asked, "Do you have your eye on the number 1 ranking?" Her response, deliberate and revealing. "Honestly, if I'm going to play well, it's going to be an effect of that. I'm just focusing on being a better player, and I'm not that kind of person that focuses on the rankings anyway." Essentially sports. In those words lay her philosophy. Rankings are symptom, not strategy. In a sport obsessed with numbers, Swiatek chose process over podium. Sabalenka still holds the throne. And yes, currently, that throne belongs to Aryna Sabalenka. Despite her quarterfinal exit in Cincinnati, the Belarusian remains perched atop the rankings. Essentially sports. It's as if Swiatek is running in the race of a lifetime, but one step behind the leader, yet several strides ahead of the pack. The emotional landscape, clarity amidst chaos. Imagine the emotional palette of Swiatek's year so far. The triumph at Wimbledon, a double bagel final 6-0, 6-0, marking her dominance on grass. Wikipedia. The surge of confidence, tempered by humility, as her ranking chase isn't about ego, but craft. The ever-present Sabalenka looming above, steady and imperious in her consistency. Tennis 365. Wikipedia. Coco Gauff, both peer and challenger, who, despite being overtaken, isn't forgotten in Swiatek's mindset. This emotional terrain is not one of envy or resentment. Rather, it's a field of respect for the numbers, for the modicum of control each player commands, and for that rare space where a champion focuses more on the wrench of effort than the glory of reward. The inner monologue, words unspoken. Picture Swiatek walking the tunnel after that Cincinnati match. She's not just thinking, "I beat Paolini, I'm about to pass Gauff." Instead, her mind drifts. Serve better. Shorter rallies. Read the return. Stay tense but calm. Ranks be damned. She knows that if the work is right, the numbers will follow. A creative contemplation. What this means for her legacy. Swiatek has now become, in 2025, more than a tactician. She is a philosopher-athlete. Instead of clinging to her past glories, 4 French Open titles, a Wimbledon rout, a fierce rivalry with Sabalenka, she opts into growth. That's her art. Brushstroke, the ranking chase with Gauff, subtle yet powerful. Palette, Sabalenka, still the ruler, Gauff, still a challenger. Swiatek, the quiet contester. Canvas, competitive tennis, painted with self-awareness and strategic restraint. The larger narrative arc. In this new season of women's tennis, there are 3 central figures. Aryna Sabalenka, the reigning queen, consistent, commanding. Coco Gauff, the rising star, bold and unpredictable. Iga Swiatek, the thoughtful artisan, constantly refining, never complacent. The narrative is no longer about dominance via spectacle, but resilience via refinement. It's about how Swiatek, despite tipping past Gauff in ranking, doesn't chase the crown. She crafts the path. Yet standing there, poised before the Tennis Channel desk, she seemed entirely unbothered by the numbers. The question came, do you have your eye on the #1 ranking for the end of the year? Her reply was simple, earnest, and refreshingly Swiatek. Honestly, if I'm going to play well, it's going to be an effect of that. I'm just focusing on being a better player, and I'm not that kind of person that focuses on the rankings anyway. Essentially sports. It was as though she'd handed us a tennis Zen koan, to seek mastery, not titles. In that moment, Swiatek transcended the obsessive chase for points, offering a glimpse into the heart of true competitive grace. The stakes behind the words. This wasn't just poetic humility. The context was rich. Swiatek, fresh off her breakthrough Wimbledon title, the first double bagel in a women's singles final since 1911, stood on the cusp of overtaking Gauff in the WTA rankings. The Guardian. Wikipedia. +1. Meanwhile, Aryna Sabalenka remained entrenched at #1, buoyed by her own final streak in Grand Slams, including Australian and French Opens earlier in the year. Wikipedia. +2. Wikipedia. +2. Diario as. The Times. Tennis 365. Even so, Swiatek refused to let that define her. She wasn't rigidly plotting, wasn't crunching rankings during treatment breaks. She was absorbing every volley, building every point with intention, wordsmithing her focus, creative reflection. Imagine Swiatek's training sessions. Chapter 1. The Practice Court. She returns practice balls to the basket with a rhythmic clack, each one a beat in the metronome of her resolve. A coach calls out adjustments, footwork, angle, pace. But inevitably, the leaderboard flickers into her peripheral. It whispers, Gauff is days ahead, but vulnerable. It murmurs, Sabalenka still reigns, but cracks may be showing. Swiatek shuts it out. She trains as if the rankings don't exist. She trains for the clarity of clean contact, split-second anticipation, the poetry of a passing winner. Chapter 2. The Press Line. Under lights that feel like 1,000 eyes, a well-meaning journalist probes. You're now in striking distance of Gauff. Any thoughts on position? Swiatek smiles, honest in her calm. It's not about the points. It's about the process. No glib distraction, just the quiet conviction that excellence births success, not vice versa. Chapter 3. The Match Pressure. She steps onto center court at Cincinnati again, tension coiling around the baseline corners. Opponents rise and fall, but she focuses on the physics of ball and racket, the rhythm of breathing, the architecture of each rally. Rankings blur like distant constellations, beautiful, but irrelevant to her anchor. Play well, and the rest follows. Portrait of a philosophy. Through her candid statement, Swiatek embodies something profound. To be the best, first be the best version of yourself. Conscious not of titles, but of texture of the journey. The rankings may shift, they will, as Gauff recedes and, perhaps someday, Sabalenka cedes her throne. But Swiatek's ethos, the incremental clarity, the unshakable presence, feels timeless. Creative touches and contextual harmony. Symbolism. The match becomes metaphor, chronicling how victory isn't a destination, but the breadcrumbs of excellence. Contrast. Her grounded demeanor stands out amid the common chase for numbers, spotlighting the difference between performance-based humility and results-driven hunger. Contextual anchors, referencing real events, Cincinnati success, Wimbledon dominance, the dynamic with Sabalenka, enriches the narrative with authenticity. Closing snapshot, 85 words. There, in the twilight of her victory light, Swiatek's statement resonates. Not a distraction from ambition, but its purest form. She doesn't need to think about number one. She needs to think only of the next shot, the next breath, the ongoing refinement stirring her toward it. And whether she surpasses Coco Gauff or ultimately dethrones Aryna Sabalenka, or neither, she plays in a realm where being better today is itself triumph.